Sal Capaccio joining us on the Western Hotline, previewing Bills and Jets. Happy to have you along. Sal, I don't know if you've been watching this morning. Joe's got a fresh new cut.
No, haven't.
Yeah,
the YouTube screen.
I'm gonna go to the YouTube page right now, the YouTube channel right now to see this because I can watch you guys while I talk to you.
It's not just hey, you got a haircut. It's he walked in and all three of us were like, whoa.
Yeah, this was a big
It's
change.
a big cut.
This is a big cut. It was getting long. Like it was at the bottom of my neck.
Yeah.
So curly though. Thanks to our friends
fresh.
at Buffalo Trim who hooked me up there because that was
Ironically,
a
I
needed
did
cut.
too.
Yeah, I've been hearing your commercials. We're on YouTube now. All of a sudden, you're getting spa treatments. You're looking better.
Yeah. Yeah, Buffalo Trim. They do like the shampooing where they like put your hair, your head back. It's like a whole treatment. Yeah.
I'm lucky if I shower. Anyway, no. Good morning, everybody. It's a Thursday. We've got Commanders and Packers tonight. Of course, Bills and Jets Sunday, 1:00. And Sal, would it be fair to say not like your average day down there for practice on a Wednesday, full pads and. You know, it's week 2 we're entering, but McDermott talking about buckling down. It's pretty clear they're very happy they won the game, but that he thinks they've got a lot of work to do, especially on the defensive side.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, the message was made clear very early on. His quote was, this week needs to be hard. Like, that's the message throughout the organization. What does that look like, though? It's a good question. And I can't remember who asked it. I want to give him credit. It might have been Sal Marana or Jay Skursky, someone up there. So my apologies. One of my colleagues, though, did a really good job to say, what does that look like? And it's not just when he says, like, it needs to be hard, it doesn't mean like, oh, my God, every practice is hard and you're going to go and we're going to work you and, run sprints. Like, yes, you want to have a harder practice, go harder with intent, right? That's what it is. Practice isn't done as a punishment. Practice is done to get better. But the other part of it is the biggest thing I think I took away is hard conversations, like a hard look in the mirror. Like what happened? Where are we? And what do we need to improve on? That's what this week being hard looks like for Sean McDermott when it comes to the Buffalo Bills on the field and practicing. And yeah, they did have full pads yesterday. That doesn't mean that they're going 11 on 11 and, taken to the ground. Right now, we don't watch full practice. Obviously, we go out there. Full pads though, because you need to get right, that's tackling everything, right? Angles. We need to practice how we're going to play, and we need to play how we're going to practice, whatever. But you get the point. Like that's what the week being hard looks like to Sean McDermott, which is everything needs to be intentional on how we go about fixing. Because as Bobby Babbage said, no one on the defensive side of the ball in the defensive room thinks what happens Sunday is acceptable.
How rare is it, Sal, that they go full pads like that at a practice, middle of the week?
Pretty rare, but early in the season, it's not like totally uncommon. As the season goes on, there are actually CBA rules, but by a certain time period and how many you can do in a season and after a certain time period and all those kinds of things. So, like, I don't think you could even do this in December, to be honest with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that if you're going to do it, it has to be now, but look, we all know, like, the Bills did not play their starters much at all, really. Josh Allen, but most of their starters just didn't play in the preseason. And they had a lot of guys injured as well. So there were just a lot of reps missed. And part of this is, yes, the way they played on Sunday needs to be fixed. We need to go out there and have intent. Part of it is we are still catching up on reps here, because they didn't have as much as they're used to and needed. And I think that showed on Sunday.
Is that kind of – how have they sounded to you, whether it's Babbage or the couple times McDermott has talked, Sal? How much are they giving off that the problems on Sunday – at stopping Derrick Henry was more of that? Maybe like, chemistry with everybody that's out there, communication. We talked about the Ravens running to the line of scrimmage and calling plays quick to take advantage of the Bills in that area. Like, I guess how much of it was more of all of that rather than just guys getting beat, one-on-one in their reps?
Well, I think it's a combination, Joe, really. Yeah, I mean, like, there were guys getting beat, but yeah, I wouldn't look at it. When I go back and watch, it's not like, oh my God, that guy just got beat all the time in this play. There were times where it seemed like maybe one guy got beat every play and then something breaks down because of it. I think everything coming together, right? So it's tough to answer the question, like, how much of it, but It's a good point you make, which is it wasn't just like, oh my God, to a man, we just got beat. This guy got beat, that guy got beat, that guy got beat, right? I mean, Ed Oliver didn't.
Right.
He had a great game, right? And there were times where other guys did a nice job. I mean, yeah, I would say the linebackers didn't have a great day, but I remember a couple plays where Matt Milano makes an open field tackle, right? I mean, it wasn't like guys were just getting beaten all across the board. If you look at a couple of those Derrick Henry runs, it's, man, their offensive line just did exactly what they wanted to do to move it down. And now Derrick Henry has a hole to run through, or he squeezes through a hole that should not have been there. And then you get in the open field, and now it's a tough deal for Taylor Rapp or for Cole Bishop to make a tackle. And you could point to different times where guys got beat, but I think it was just the sum of everything that wound up happening, with including what you just said.
Yeah, and it feels like they are very much they're putting an emphasis on all of that as they head into a week where, like, this is not Derrick Henry with Breece Hall, Sal, as we start to turn to the Jets a little bit, but
yeah,
he is a running back who's had success against the Bills. It's like just under 6.5 yards per attempt against the Bills in his career. Very different types of runs, but amongst the challenges they'll have in the run game over the year, this is, I mean, maybe second, or, I mean, you have Barkley late in the year, but it's one of the tougher tests maybe they'll have all season.
You're right. They have a really nice running attack after what we saw last week. I thought that their offensive line played way better than I would expect, especially in the run game, but even protecting a little bit. Now Fields is mobile, so he helps out with that. But you look at what they did on the ground last week, 182 yards, 4.7 yards a carry. And that's just not Breece Hall. It's mostly him. It was 107 yards from him. Then you throw the quarterback in, 12 carries, 48 yards for Justin Fields. Like, this is a dynamic dual threat that they have between the two of them. You're going to see a lot of what you saw last week from the Ravens in the Jets. They might run it differently, but you're going to see them basically say, we're going to come at you, and we're going to dare you to stop us. And we're going to use our quarterback to get out in space, and he's going to be able to use his legs, or he's going to be able to throw the ball and give him options. So I think that the good news is the Bills just saw something like this last week, right? This isn't like when you play an air raid offense in college and the next week you play Army, right? You know what I mean? And you're like, wait a minute, like, how do we prepare for this? We haven't seen this. The Bills just saw a dynamic dual threat running attack. Totally different, I know, in styles, but they know they have to account for a running back and a quarterback with his legs, and the Jets are going to try to replicate in some way what the Ravens did, and I think at least in that regard, the Bills will be better prepared for it.
Yeah, I was going to ask, Sal, like, how different will they look defensively? Whether it's and they can't make many changes from a personnel standpoint, but the approach, the cohesiveness, whether it's linebackers, it's safety, Dorian Strong, if he's still going to be out there, how much different could they really be on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, and we can maybe take a second here to talk about Tre'Davious White, because it's a storyline, right? And you brought up Dorian Strong. Tre'Davious White returned to practice yesterday. He was officially listed as limited. I mean, for the time that we were out there, guys, looked to me like he was doing well and moving. I have a bunch of video that I tweeted out and put in my story at WGR550.com if people want to see Tre'Davious White. And he seemed to be doing everything, including tackling bags and going to the ground, right? The gator roll tackle. Like, a lot of times when guys come back from injuries that they've missed several weeks, you don't do things like that, but he was involved in everything that I saw, but he was still listed as limited. Now, that said, I did talk to him after practice. I asked him how he felt. He said he felt good. It was good to get back out there, but he didn't commit to, what he thinks on Sunday, and I wouldn't expect him to do that yet. And he really, he had high praise for Dorian Strong. He said, hey, from the minute that guy came in here, he's been doing a really good job, and he did a really good job on Sunday. No busted plays, tightened coverage. I would expect when Tre'Davious White is healthy, which very well could be this week, he's the starter. I don't think we're going to a point yet where we're having that discussion. Maybe that's down the road. So I do think that, as I sit right here now, guys, I think Tre'Davious White is starting opposite Christian Benford, just the fact that he's already back at practice and he looked good. Okay, so that's one personnel change. Could you where are you going to make another one? Could it be at safety? I don't know. I can't see Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp not starting, despite, having some struggles last week. What's the alternative there? Jordan Hancock is back at practice. Is that something that happens eventually? Maybe. I'm not sure that that's something you do right now. He's been practicing, but down the road, right? You do have Jordan Poyer, obviously, in the practice squad. I think that's a break glass in case of emergency. But there are things you have to look at. And then you look at the defensive line. Interestingly enough, they did sign another defensive lineman yesterday, Fedarian Mathis. I don't know if you guys know, but Fedarian Mathis was a top 50 pick in the draft just a few years ago. Like, he was really good coming out of Alabama. It just didn't work for him when he was with Washington. Then he was actually with the Jets this preseason for a little while. But I don't know what this means for what they're trying to do. Is it just helping out the roster just in a general sense? Or do they have plans for Jordan Phillips or Zion Logue to be elevated so they need another guy in the practice squad? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times that could be the case as well, because maybe they feel they need a little bit more up front. So I do think that there's possibilities here from the changes to be made.
One thing on the safety conversation, you said Poyer might be break class in case of emergency. I found it. It was Josh Reed that tweeted it out. Like, to his eye, he just thought maybe Poyer's starting to do a little bit more at practice. Mm-hmm. Would you agree, Sal? Is that just maybe a ramp up because he's coming in late and making sure he's in football shape, or would you read anything more into that?
I wouldn't dismiss reading anything more into it after the way the guys played, the safeties played on Sunday. I think there's got to be an element of ramping him up for sure. I mean, he's still, he didn't have the training camp that everybody had. These guys had how much since July 23rd they were on the field. Jordan Poyer gets here in September, basically, right? Maybe end of August, whatever the date was, he gets here and he's at the very end. So I don't doubt that there's a ramping up. I also wouldn't dismiss the fact that, hey, well, from what we saw, like, we might have to put somebody there we can know that we can trust and know the system and see where that goes. So maybe there is a little bit more to that. I agree, though. I would say the same thing, where it just feels like he's doing a little bit more when you watch him out there and in practice. And I think also just watching Jordan, like, I've covered Jordan and known Jordan for years. Just the pep in his step, you know what I mean? Like, when he came in, like, one of the first days, he's like, "Woo, yeah, like, it was tough. I'm glad I'm out here, but, like, he's got to get back in here, and it's a little different. I'm not the starter anymore, and Micah told me there's some humble pie to be eaten here when you're on the scout team." So I think there's that mentality of it where you could see that he's getting a little more comfortable in what he's doing out there again.
So also in the injury report, Taron Johnson popped up as not practicing. Should that be a concern at all? Is that's not like a vet rest day or anything? How did McDermott sound on it?
So all Sean told us before practice was Taron Johnson and Shaq Thompson won't practice. Everybody else will be out there in some capacity, which is the case. Afterward, we get the injury report. Now, during practice, Shaq Thompson was out there with pads on, but he still was listed as not practicing. I'm just, like, to me, that's like a guy going, I want to practice. And coaches may be like, dude, we don't need you to right now. Just take care of this, right? You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just saying it's kind of funny. Here's this dude that's this vet, and it's like he's not going to practice because he got a hamstring injury. He's out there with pads on, but yet we still find out he didn't practice at all. We did not see Taron Johnson at all. So from that standpoint, Joe, I'd say a little concerning, but it's a Wednesday. He finished the game. He was in the locker room. He spoke to us afterwards. It didn't seem like – I think back, and I'm like, I don't think there was anything to be concerned about. He didn't leave the game early or anything. Mm-hmm. So let's just give it to today. We'll see Taron Johnson hopefully back on the field today. That'll give us a little more. The only one I'd be a little cautious on here is you have James Cook listed as limited with a hamstring. He was at practice – he didn't leave the game or anything, but hamstring, running back. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if something happened at practice or if it's just, again, general maintenance, right? Which I'm gonna just err on the side of general maintenance for all these guys who are limited right now, and then we'll see where it goes today.
Are you thinking at all yet about guys that would be getting a jersey on Sunday, if there would be any change between last week and this week? Landon Jackson's the one I want to target specifically here because he's a third-round pick. He doesn't play in the opener. Would you think there's any reason that would be different from week 1 to week 2, or do we think he's a guy who's not going to get a jersey maybe consistently here?
Here's the way I'll answer that with a question. If you put Landon Jackson, if you give him a jersey, who are you taking out? I think there's only one answer. That'd have to be Javon Solomon.
Mm-hmm.
I just
right,
and I guess it comes down to, Joe, does Landon Jackson offer you more than Javon Solomon does in both phases, by the way? And I don't think the Bills would feel that way. Javon Solomon's a pretty core special teamer right now, and he's a better pass rusher. If you want somebody to set the edge and you feel Landon Jackson could do that better, maybe. But I think that would be a stretch right now. I can't see if you want to have 5 defensive ends, because obviously Rousseau, Bosa, and Epinesa are dressing. If you want to have 5 defensive ends, then you can do it. but where are you taking from somewhere else around the roster? Could it be wide receiver? Could. You already had one guy in actives, Curtis Samuel. What if you have two? I don't know if you want to do that, right? That's probably – so I think it's hard, Joe. I think the only change you could make there, if you wanted to make a change, would have to be a swap of Landon Jackson to Javon Solomon. And then the question is, like, why would you do that, and do you think it's worth it?
Yeah.
One other element to this matchup this week, rivalry. Deion Dawkins hates the Jets. Openly hates them.
Really hates them.
Yeah. Names. So if nothing else, Sal, like, you can expect the Bills starting left tackle to bring the intensity because he hates them.
He has said many things in the last few years about the Jets, and you remember the not fight, but I guess going at it in the tunnel with Clemens, right?
Yeah,
It was Clemens.
That's it. Yeah,
that was, and then he went on a podcast like that off season, and he really kind of went after them and some of the words he said, and then we did a Zoom with him later in the summer, maybe it's a contract extension after that, I think it was, and I asked him, I said, like, hey, like, you thinking back, do you regret anything you said? He said, what should I regret? I'm like, I'm not saying you should. I'm asking you. He's like, no. I mean, I said what I said, and it's continued. And Deion's unfiltered. He's going to say what he feels, and he has a lot of respect for a lot of guys over there, though. He has also said that, right? There's guys in that team that he has a lot of respect for.
Yeah,
it has been some new guys over the years. It has been a new organization in a lot of ways. Obviously, they have a new head coach in Aaron Glenn. It is interesting. Sean McDermott worked with Steve Wilkes, who is their defensive coordinator now. And, guys, you know who the Jets defensive line coach is? It's Eric Washington, who used to be in Buffalo as a defensive line coach.
Okay.
So he's now their defensive line coach. So one of the interesting dynamics of this game, it's always kind of fascinating to me, is you kind of went up against him and his unit for years in practice, so you kind of know some of the tendencies of how they might want to play, right? Those are always fascinating things to me. The other one is, did you guys know that, like, I'm sure you probably do know, but Harrison Phillips was traded to the Jets actually, like last month, right? He was traded from the Minnesota Vikings to the New York Jets last month, and he's obviously on their defensive line. He played more snaps than second most snaps behind only Quinnen Williams last week for them on the D line.
Yeah, 61%. Yeah, I'm looking Phillips. Although as I'm looking at like what their defense currently looks like, there's Michael Clemens who's still there. And he's the guy I think Dawkins had the biggest problem with.
Yes.
That will be interesting, Sal. We'll do maybe more of this tomorrow with you too, but that defense has given Josh Allen fits as much as any team in the league, but that's Robert Saleh. That's a little bit of different player personnel. You have these changes, these few changes personnel-wise, and then the coaching difference. So I don't. And they are coming off a game where Aaron Rodgers looked good, like 4 passing touchdowns. So I wonder if we'll get a defense that gives Allen trouble at all, because in the past they have.
So interestingly, you said that. We were talking about this in the media room yesterday, and Josh Reed brought this up to me, which is right. That is true what you say. But ever since Joe Brady took over, his numbers have been good against the Jets.
Yeah.
Right? I'm looking right now.
Right.
So
there was a blow. The last game at the end of last year, they scored 1 million points.
So the first game, remember the first game that Brady coaches, Jets, right? 32-6, Bills win.
Okay, right.
I'm looking right now. 32-6. So the last few games, he's had a total of 7 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Okay.
So yeah,
so maybe not since the opener, the Zach Wilson opener, has he maybe struggled?
Yeah, maybe that's right. You mean the Monday night game?
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's right. But it is true. I mean, yeah, I think this is a defense that has in the past done that, and I have a lot of respect for Steve Wilkes as a defensive coordinator. I know he's very well respected around the league. They did give up 34 points to the Steelers last week, right? And you wonder, if the Bills after scoring 41, after scoring 41 points last week, here's a defense that gave up 34. But if you look at their numbers, like, the Steelers weren't overwhelming, guys. The Steelers had 271 yards. They had less than 300 yards. Yeah. The Steelers went 4 for 10 on third down. The Jets did a nice job overall, numbers-wise. Steelers, they didn't even have 20 first downs. I mean, 19. That's actually a nice number. But I don't look at it and say, like, oh yeah, the Steelers, look what they did and how they were able to score on the Jets, because the numbers don't bear out like a team that should have scored 34 points.
Right, they had a couple of short fields on top
Yes.
of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Sal. Well, excited for a Sunday 1 o'clock game. You've got your regular old road trip back at a reasonable time.
Yes.
There aren't many of those.
For 1 week at least, and then we go back to a Thursday night next week, right?
That's right.
And then we have some Sundays after that, another night game after that. And but yeah, you're right. And I think it's supposed to be really good weather, but I saw Pat Hammer last night at the awards dinner, and I said, "Hey, we're gonna do Friday, and I think we're gonna have good weather." And he goes, I'm like, "No, don't tell me that." So Pat's gonna give us an update tomorrow on the Extra Point Show about that, because he's like, "Yeah, there's a system coming through. It's kind of depending on timing, but so far right now, it's like looks like it's gonna be really nice. But I guess there's a chance that that's not the case. But Pat will tell us all about it tomorrow on the Extra Point Show."
What kind of road representation does the Mafia usually get in New York?
Good. Not. I'll be honest with you. It's not like it is in a lot of these other places where are more kind of destination cities, right?
Yeah.
Destination places, and part of it is that it's New York, and if you're going to choose to go to a lot of places, you might choose to go to Miami or Houston or wherever. The other thing is, like, the Jets and Giants both have such strong season ticket bases, right? And yes, the Jets have been bad over the years, so they'll sell their tickets. You'll get tickets on the secondary market. There's obviously a lot of Bills fans in the tri-state area. We know that. It's just a little bit different, I think. They do get a very, very good contingent. But when I think about like Miami and what that looks like, I think about last year in LA or in Houston. It's just, I think, easier for people to be able to get tickets to those games and want to say, I want to go to that city at that time. But when the schedule comes out and I see Jets in September on a Sunday, I love it. Like, I just think that's the best time of year to go to New York City.
Yeah, I would echo that. I was at the game last year in the stands, and it was more Bills fans were mixed in. Like, there were definitely representation, but it wasn't quite the same as when I went to Nashville, where I felt like half the stadium was Bills fans.
That'll be Carolina.
Yeah, that's right. And look, I think the other part is when it depends on what time of year you play them. It depends on what their record is.
Yep.
I've been in that stadium where it's just like, okay, like Bills fans are taking over because the Jets are bad. But the Jets played a decent game last week. They're 0-1. It's a division rival. It's Josh Allen coming in. I think people are excited about Aaron Glenn. They're excited about Justin Fields. So I think it'll be a lesser amount of Bills Mafia taking over as you see in most stadiums.
Lastly, Sal, have you decided where your Buffalo Broadcasters Association Sports Pro of the Year, Professional of the Year award is going to go?
I think I'm going to put it next to my Cleveland Hill High School Hall of Fame plaque. There you go.
Nice.
That'll be nice. And I say that to give a shout out to my alma mater, Cleveland Hill High School, because that's when I was a young high school kid, and I've told the story about Art Wander, but that's kind of where my love for this medium and forum took place, and that really shaped my life, and so that I think it would be appropriate to put it there, and I appreciate it and thank you. And what was cool about last night, if I can real quick, was the finalists for this Sports Pro of the Year award. We're all my friends, and guys are so deserving of it. If I didn't win, and just be mentioned with Josh Reed and John Scott and Matt Bove and Dom Tibbetts was amazing, and that's really cool. And really, really big congratulations and shout out to Matt Bove and Mike Rabier, our producer on It's Always Game Day in Buffalo, because we also won the award for best use of social media for that particular podcast. And I always say, that's not me, that's them. Mike does a great job of the clips that he puts out for us, and Matt does a great job of promoting it as well. So, that's a shared award. And, so it was really nice last night. It was a great night. Great to share it with so many people. Odyssey did such an amazing job cleaning up. Congratulations to all of you guys, by the way. You're a part of it. WGR was Station of the Year, Radio Station of the Year here, and for the Buffalo Broadcasters Association. So congratulations to both of you, because you're a big part of that. And Alan Davis, our boss, our account executive, Stephanie Dulski, won Sales Executive of the Year. David Bellavia on WBEN, Radio Program of the Year. So, Odyssey walked away with some real hardware last night, and that was a really cool thing. And, of course, I want to thank and congratulate Todd Brody, who is behind the scenes on the Bills radio broadcast and also does a lot of our voices and commercials. Listen, everybody gave a great speech. I thought Todd's speech was awesome. And if you get a chance to go see it, you should listen to it. So congratulations to everybody last night who was awarded and honored in some way.
Sal, I'll just make one recommendation for you. If you're looking for a place to keep that, is it a plaque that you got?
It's like a
Okay.
it's like a plaque. You see it's a clear like plaque.
Perfect.
It stands up though.
I
right?
think
But it
you
stands
should-
up.
yeah,
It doesn't
it
like
stands
hang on the
Whatever.
wall.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Around your neck is where you should wear it. Around John, Scott, and Dom, and Matt, and Josh. You should rock that thing.
Wear it to practice.
Yes.
Today.
Oh, hey, fellas. What's up? Oh, this? This old thing?
That's a great idea.
That's what you should be doing. All right. Thanks, Sal, and congratulations.
You got it, guys. Thanks a lot. Congrats to you too.
All right. Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline.